Hi there, welcome back to Talk Love with Joy. If you're new here, welcome to the place where we have the real, unfiltered conversations about love and relationships. And today we're stepping into the battlefield. We're talking about money, expectations, gender roles, and the question that's ended more dates than bad breath: who should pay? So, buckle up, because this one's going to ruffle some feathers. Let's dive in. The bill came $127.43. He sat there. She sat there, both staring at the little black folder in the middle of the table. He's thinking, I paid for the last 3 dates. If she's about equality, she should offer. She's thinking, if he doesn't reach for this bill, he's not a provider. He's not serious. Neither one moves. The silence stretches. The server comes back, confused. And just like that, what could have been something real dies over a restaurant bill. So, who was wrong? Him? Her? Both? Neither. Today, I'm giving you the answer nobody wants to hear. Here's the truth that's going to make half of you angry, and the other half say finally someone said it. There is no one-size-fits-all answer to who should pay. But how you handle the bill, that reveals everything about your values, your expectations, and whether you're actually compatible. Let me break it down. Let's start with the traditional view, because whether you like it or not, it still exists. The traditional expectation is simple: the man pays, period. First date, second date, 10th date. Doesn't matter. He asked her out, he pays, and in the traditional framework. This isn't about money, it's about intention. It's about showing that he can provide, that he's invested, that he's serious. For women who value traditional masculinity, a man who doesn't pay isn't a man worth pursuing. It's a deal breaker. Not because she's a gold digger, but because in her worldview, provision is part of his role. And here's the thing, if a man subscribes to traditional masculinity in other areas, wanting to lead, wanting to protect, wanting to be the head of the household, then yes, he should pay. You don't get to pick and choose which parts of tradition benefit you. If you want a traditional woman who submits, cooks, supports your vision, and follows your lead, then you better be ready to provide and pay. Tradition is a package deal. You don't get the benefits without the responsibilities. Now let's talk about the modern view, because this is where it gets messy. The modern expectation is equality. We make the same money, we have the same careers, we split everything 50-50. And in theory, this makes sense. If we're equal partners, why should one person carry the financial weight? If she's independent, successful, and feminist, shouldn't she pay her own way? And the answer is yes, if that's the dynamic you both agree on. If you're building a modern, egalitarian relationship, then splitting the bill makes sense. No one's keeping score. No one's expecting the other to play a role they don't believe in. But here's where modern dating gets confusing. A lot of women want modern benefits but traditional treatment. They want to be independent, but they also want him to pay. They want equality in the boardroom, but chivalry in the dating scene. And a lot of men want modern benefits too. They want a woman who's financially independent, but they also want her to be feminine, nurturing, and not too much. Both sides are cherry-picking what serves them, and that's why dating is a mess right now. So let me be clear. You can't have it both ways. If you're a woman who wants a man to always pay, you need to bring traditional value to the table. That means you're supportive, you're feminine, you respect his leadership, and you're not competing with him. If you Ray out here talking about I do not need a man and 50-50ths and everything, but then you expect him to pay for every date, you're a hypocrite. And if you Ray a man who wants to split every bill, but you also expect her to cook, clean, and submit to your authority, you're a hypocrite too. Pick a lane. Traditional or modern. But be consistent. Now let's talk about the first date specifically, because this is where most of the confusion happens. Here's my take, and I know some of you will disagree. On the first date, The person who did the asking should at least offer to pay or suggest the plan within their budget. If he asked her out and chose a place that's expensive, he should be prepared to pay. If she asked him out, she should offer to pay or at least go Dutch. It's about respect and intention. But here's the key: the other person should always offer to contribute. Always, even if you have no intention of paying, the offer matters. It shows you're not entitled. It shows you're considerate. And here's what's really being tested on that first date. It's not about the money. It's about the dance. When the bill comes, how do both people handle it? Does he reach for it confidently? Does she offer to split it genuinely? Or does he hesitate and make it awkward? Does she sit there with her arms crossed, expecting him to cover it without even a thank you? The transaction isn't about dollars and cents. It's about seeing if your values align. If he's traditional and she's modern, that bill is going to expose it. If she's traditional and he's modern, same thing. And that's valuable information. Here's another uncomfortable truth. For a lot of women, how a man handles the bill is a test. And I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I'm saying it's real. If he splits the bill on the first date, some women will see that as a sign he's not generous, not a provider, not serious. Even if she makes more money than him, even if she considers herself independent, there's something primal about provision. And whether we want to admit it or not, a lot of women still want to feel like a man can take care of them, even if they don't need him to. So, when he asks to split the bill, it's not about the $60. It's about what that $60 represents. But let's flip it. For men, how a woman reacts to the bill is also a test. If she sits there entitled expecting him to pay without even acknowledging it, he's going to see her as high maintenance or transactional. If she offers to pay her half or says thank you genuinely, he's going to see her as considerate and respectful. So, both sides are watching. Both sides are evaluating. And the bill becomes a microcosm of the entire relationship dynamic. Now let's talk about what happens after the first date, because this is where it really matters. If you're building something real, the who pays question should naturally evolve. In a healthy relationship, it shouldn't be a constant negotiation. If he's paying for most dates, she should be contributing in other ways. Cooking for him, planning thoughtful dates, showing appreciation. It's not about dollar for dollar equality. It's about both people feeling valued and respected. If she's always expecting him to pay and never reciprocates in any way, he's going to feel used. And if he's nickel and diming every single thing, she's going to feel like he's stingy and ungenerous. Here's the real answer to who should pay. It depends on what kind of relationship you're building. If you want a traditional relationship, the man should pay most of the time, and the woman should bring traditional value. If you want a modern egalitarian relationship, you split things fairly, and both people contribute equally. But you have to be on the same page. You can't have one person operating in the traditional framework and the other in the modern framework. That's a recipe for resentment. And here's what I need you to understand. The problem isn't the bill. The problem is the lack of communication about expectations. Too many people are out here dating with completely different rulebooks and getting mad when the other person does not follow rules they did not even know existed. If you're a woman who expects a man to pay, say that. Don't play games. Don't sit there silently judging him for offering to split. If you're a man who prefers to split bills, say that up front. Hey, I believe in equal partnerships, so I usually split dates. Is that cool with you? Boom.clear.honest. No confusion. But here's the catch. When you communicate your expectation, you also have to be okay with the other person walking away. If you're a woman who says, I expect men to pay, some men will say, that's not for me and leave. And that's fine. You're not for everyone. If you're a man who says, I split everything 50-50, some women will say, that doesn't align with what I want and leave. And that's fine too. Better to know early than 3 months and when you're already emotionally invested. Here's my practical advice. Men, if you want to make a good impression, pay for the first date. Even if you believe in equality. Even if she makes more money. It's a gesture. It's old school. But it works. And if she offers to split, you can say, I got this one. You can get the next one, which shows you're generous, but also that you expect reciprocity. Women, always offer to pay your half. Always. Even if you don't mean it. Even if you hope he says no. The offer matters. It shows you're not entitled. And if he takes you up on it, now you know what kind of dynamic he's looking for. And you can decide if that works for you. And for both of you, stop keeping score. If you're sitting there calculating who paid for what, you're not in a relationship, you're in a transaction. Healthy relationships have a natural give and take. Sometimes he pays. Sometimes she pays. Sometimes he plans the date. Sometimes she does. It balances out over time, not because you're tracking it, but because both people are generous and thoughtful. Here's the bottom line. The bill is not the issue. The issue is mismatched expectations. The issue is people wanting traditional benefits without traditional responsibilities. The issue is a lack of communication. So, figure out what you want. Traditional? Modern? Somewhere in between? And then find someone who wants the same thing. Because you cannot build a relationship with someone who is playing by a completely different set of rules. What do you think? Should men always pay? Should it be 50-50? Does it depend on the situation? Drop your honest take in the comments. And men, I want to hear from you too. Don't let the women run this comment section. If this video made you think, hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed to Talk Love with Joy, do it now. We're here every week having the conversations nobody else will touch. Share this with someone who's navigating the dating world. They need to hear this. This is Talk Love with Joy, reminding you that love works when we work on it. But first, we have to know what we are working towards. See you in my next video.